Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from group 7. We want to explain about the material of testing language skills based on the listening. And for the first material, will be explained by Nur Aisyah.
Introduction. What is listening? Listening is a language modality. It is one of the four skills of a language, such as listening, speaking, reading, and writing. It involves an active involvement of an individual. Listening involves a sender, a message, and a receiver. It is the psychological process of receiving, attending to constructing meaning from and responding to spoken and or nonverbal message. Listening comprises of some key components. They are discriminating between sounds, and then recognizing words and understanding their meaning, and then identifying grammatical group in both words, and then identifying expression and seeds of utterance that act to carry meaning, and then connecting language cues to non-language and paralanguage cues, and then using background knowledge to predict and confirm meaning and recalling important words and ideas. Process of listening. The process of listening occurs in 5 stages. They are hearing, understanding, remembering, evaluating, and responding. Hearing. It is referred to the response caused by sound waves simulating the sensory receptor of the ear. It is physical response. Hearing is perception of sound waves. You must hear to listen, but you need not listen to hear. Brain screen stimuli and permits only a select few come into focus. That selective perception is known as attention, an important requirement of effective listening. Understanding. This step helps to understand symbols we have seen and heard. We must analyze the meaning of the stimuli we have perceived. Symbolic stimuli are not only words but also sounds like applause and sight like blue and uninformed that have symbolic meaning as well. The meaning attached to these symbols are a function of our past association and of the context in which the symbol occurred. For successful interpersonal communication, the listener must understand the intended meaning and the context assumed by the sender. Remembering. Remembering is important listening process because it means that an individual has not only received and interpreted a message but has also added into the mind through back. In listening, our attention is selective, so too is our memory. What is remembered might be quite different from what was originally seen or heard. Evaluating. Only active listener participate at this stage in listening. At this point, the active listener weighs evidence, sorts fact from opinion, and determines the presence of or absence of bias of produced in a message. The effective listener makes sure that he or she doesn't begin this activity too soon. Beginning the stage of the process before a message is completed requires that we no longer hear and attend to the incoming message as a result. The listening process assess. And then responding. This stage requires that the receiver complete the process talk or nonverbal feedback because the speaker has no other way to determine if a message has been received. This stage becomes the only offered means by which the sender may determine the degree of success in transmitting the message. Importance of listening skill. Good listening skill make works more productive. The ability to listen carefully will allow a person to first understand a segment in better way and find and what is expected from him, and then will report with to works, boss and clients, and then show support, and then work better in a team-based environment, and then solve problem with customers, co-work and boss, and then after question, and then find underlying meanings in what others say.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Arya Alhafizhul Ihsan. I want to continue the explanation about the material about the strategies and testing listening comprehension. Before we talk about the testing listening comprehension, we must know about the strategies of listening. Uh, so, this is strategies of the listening. Listening strategies are techniques or activities that contribute directly to the comprehension and recall of listening input. So listening strategies can be classified by how the listener process the input. In in these strategies, there are two types or two strategies. The first is top-down strategies and the bottom-up strategies. On the top-down strategies are listener-based. The listener taps into background knowledge of the topic, the situation, and/or the context, and the types of text and the language. This background knowledge this they activate a set of expectation that help the listener to interpretation what is heard and anticipate what will come next. On top-down strategies include the listening for the main idea, predicting, drawing interference, and summarizing. And the second strategies of listening is bottom-up strategies. On bottom-up strategies are text-based, and so the listener relies on the language in the message. That is the combination of sounds, words, and grammar that creates the meaning. And bottom-up strategies include three aspects. First is listening for specific details, recognizing cognates, and recognizing word and order patterns. So move to the next material is about the testing listening. On the testing listening involve a variety of the skills. At the lowest level, it involves discrimination among the sounds, discrimination among intonation and stress pattern, and comprehension of short and long listening text. This there are three types. First is about the testing phenom discrimination. On the testing phenom discrimination, these items with the full sentence have the drawback that learners can make use of not just phenoms discrimination but also knowledge of grammar and lexical items. So these types of discrimination items is one that can be used for diagnostic purpose to see whether students have particular problems with distinguish between phenoms. And the second is about the discriminating stress and intonation. The ability to recognize stress can be tested by having learners listen to a sentence that they also have in front of them. The learners are instructed to indicate the word that carries the main stress of the sentence. The ability to understand of the meaning have a difference in intonation can be tested by having the learners listen to a statement and choose of the sentence. In real communication, listener make use of their background knowledge, the context, and another, as well as the intonation help them to interpret the communicative meaning of an utterance. And the last testing of listening is about understanding sentence and dialogues. Interpreting the meaning is meant by understanding sentence and dialogues. In the simple form, these types of the item consist of a single sentence which the learners listen to and which they choose the ones close in the meaning to the original spoken sentence. These types of the item can be useful if these limitations are kept in mind. It is a more communicative type of task than many listening tasks, so it may be have a beneficial backwards effect and it is relatively easy to administer. And the next material is about the task of listening. There are two types of the task. First is about the task using visual materials. On the task using visual material, there are three aspects. First is about the matching and the true or false task. On the matching and true false task, the simplest form of this task is to present the learners with a picture or other visual. For example, on a chart, graphic, on etc. And the advantage of using visual materials in this way is that they can be used to test listening alone without involving other skills very much. And the second is about the map task. Another way to use visual material in testing listening is to use maps. One activity involves having learners listen to direction for how to get somewhere and follow along on the map. They respond by drawing their route or indicating where they would be at the end of the direction. Another possibility is to have learners listen to a conversation referring to various locations on the map and having the learners identify the location. That's map task. And the last is about the drawing task. On drawing tasks, it is important to keep such activities simple to the drawing task itself doesn't demand too much of learners. The activities is more interesting if it can be done as part of a simple story rather than as a list of statements. True, this may depend on the level of the learners. In addition, the students should have a chance to try out this type of activity before having to do it as part of a test. And the next task is about the tasks involving talks and lectures. One way of using talks in listening tests is to have the learners listen to the talk and then fill the blanks in the written summary of the talk. The words choose from blank should be ones that they learners cannot figure out from the context of the summary without the listening to the talk, but they should also be ones that are related to the main idea of the talk, so that filling in the blanks doesn't require remembering small details of the talk. And another way to doing this involves is giving a question to answer as they listen to the talk. The question can be short answer or completion, multiple choice, or true or false. The difficulty with using short answer or completion question is that they require the learners to both read and write while they are listening, something that can be difficult even for native speaker sounds. And on tasks involving talks and lectures, the learners can be allowed to take notes while listening to the talk and then use the notes to answer questions after the talk is over, depending on the length and complexity of the talk. The learners might be given a list of the major topics included in the talk in order to help them in taking notes. And so that's all of our presentation. I'm sorry if there any mistakes in my deliver the pronouns. And thanks for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.